We turn now to Washington. Supreme Court Justices Elena Kagan and Amy Coney Barrett making a rare trip up to Capitol Hill today. The two justices appearing before both the House and Senate lawmakers requesting a $228 million budget, which is a 10% increase as security threats rise.
Threats against Congress are up 50% this year. The Supreme Court police expect a smaller but still substantial 38% annual increase in threats this year, which follows a 25% increase last year. For some of us, those threats have come very close indeed.
They have indeed. The hearings follow years of high-profile threats, protests outside justices' homes, and even targeted intimidation. Justice Barrett telling lawmakers about a swatting incident recently at her home.
About 6 weeks ago, I was the victim of a swatting incident at my house. One of our teenage sons walked out the front door getting ready to head out with friends, and the street was full of county policemen, and then I also had my residential security presence there. They had responded to a false alarm saying that there was gunshots being fired inside my home.
And if that wasn't enough, Barrett also giving an emotional account of the moment her son saw her bulletproof vest.
It was shortly after the Dobbs leak when the threats to my life were particularly intense, and my security detail thought it was a good idea for me to have a bulletproof vest. So I took it home from the house, went into my bedroom, threw it down, and turned around, and my 12-year-old son was in the doorway, and he said, "What's that?" And when I took this job, I didn't really anticipate being in the position of having to explain to one of my children what a bulletproof vest was and why his mom had it.
And Kagan also detailing how times have changed for her and other justices since she was confirmed in 2010.
I joined the court in 2010, and it was an entirely different world then. We did everything. I just walked out on the street. I had no security with me at any time. I drove back and forth to work by myself. Now, each of us has a detail of between 4 and 8 security people. They accompany us pretty much everywhere. So life has changed a great deal for all of us.
Joining us now, Louisiana Republican Senator John Kennedy. Senator, it is just preposterous that these justices have to send 2 of them up there to make the case for increased security in the times we live in. What do you make of it?
Well, I mean, I'm sorry that they feel insecure. They're not the only ones. And if I sound unsympathetic, I don't mean to, Griff, but look, I listened to part of their testimony. They want a 10% budget increase for security. They're like everybody else up here. Their favorite type of spending is more. There's not a money fairy up here. This money that we appropriate comes out of people's pockets, or we have to borrow it. And I'll take a look at, I'm on the appropriations, and I'll take a look at their request, but they already have 24-hour security, and they travel with anywhere from 4 to 8 cops at all times. So they've got better security than anybody else, except probably for the president. Not even the majority leader of the Senate has that big of a security detail. And I'm sorry they have to go through it. But I'm just not a big believer in throwing money at every problem.
I hear you, Senator, about the money fairy, but let me suggest this to you, because if you draw back to 2022, when the verdict in the ruling in the Dobbs case was released, that's really, you can draw back to that and really see an increase in the reason being because of the number of protests that grew against the justices. And those protesters, we've seen them at the justices' house and everywhere else. Their goal is to get the American people to ultimately turn against and hate and target these justices. And perhaps that's part of what's behind why they feel they need more money for increased security. What say you?
Well, Griff, I'm sure that is part of it. But they're still asking for a 10% budget increase. for more security when they already have 4 to 8 cops with them at all times. Look, since 2019, the American population has grown 2%. You know how much our spending is up? Try about 65%.
Wow.
So before I'm going to say, well, you know, and there are a lot of Americans that are struggling right now with the cost of living. So I don't mean to sound unsympathetic, but 4 to 8 cops with you at all times as part of your security detail is strong as horseradish. And like I say, I'm on the Appropriations Committee. I'll take a look at their request, but I'm not going to just automatically treat them differently. And I've defended the Supreme Court. It's an equal branch of government. They do great work.
Sure.
But let me say it again. There's not a money fairy up here.
Yeah, I hear you there. Senator, let me ask you about this, shifting gears a bit. We had history made just a few hours ago. Darlene Graham sworn in the Senate. That ceremony, of course, to appoint her to serve out the rest of her brother's Senate term. Your reaction?
Well, Senator Nardone, Darlene Graham Nardone is going to replace Lindsey, who's irreplaceable. She'll serve until the end of the year. We welcomed her at lunch today. We honored Lindsey at lunch today by telling Lindsey stories. I loved Lindsey. He was like a small earthquake. Even when he was utterly and gloriously wrong, you couldn't get mad at him. But we told Lindsey stories. Secretary Rubio told a funny story. He was with Lindsey when Lindsey first met the Dalai Lama. And Lindsey's first question to the Dalai Lama, Marco said, was, "Can you really levitate?" I mean, that was Lindsey. But let me tell you, Lindsey left something behind besides styrofoam. He left an improved world, and I'm going to miss him.
Yeah, Senator Kennedy, thank you for joining us and sharing that. It's so important. He will be greatly missed. Have a good day. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Griff.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.